Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the ADHD has just a touch of the tism, where the true crime is just as scary as the hauntings and unsolved cases, and the hosts never stay on topic for long. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em.
And I'm Meg.
We are the Pandemonium. Good morning.
Good morning.
Buenos dias. Donuts! Sprinkle donuts. Is it because it's a party?
It's because of today. What is today, Meg?
Today I showered because it's episode 100. I showered. I would say, I don't know why I say that every time. It's like I only shower on recording. No, I shower regularly. And I said this last time. I swear to God, I shower regularly. But like, it always sounds like I only shower for these. So just know that I shower regularly, but also for the people of the world.
Even more so for special occasions.
Right? I mean, I feel like episode 100 is special occasion worthy. Like, I smell good. That's a good thing. Not that you could tell. Like, we don't need smell-o-vision, but your girl smells good today. Thank you, body spray.
Right. If we did have smell-o-vision, you would smell donuts and coffee. Rachel got me a coffee mug.
Oh, love that. That's great.
I had this mug, and then Emily's ex-husband broke it.
Rude.
It's fine.
I know, but now you has a new one.
I do, and I also have a new mug for my chai, pumpkin spice chai, because somebody decided to drink out of my mug, and she's a puppy, so caffeine.
Yeah, I thought you meant your husband, and I was like, I think that's okay, but no.
He doesn't like the coffee creamer she uses.
Also fair.
She's having her first donut.
Oh.
So we've had 100 episodes for 2 years. We've had 100 episodes. We have quite a few monuments. Okay. So we have 75 followers on our Facebook, which is huge. We have a new country. 4 new countries, excuse me. We had Nigeria last we checked. We now have Cambodia, Thailand, Bangladesh, and Hungary. Which is
okay then.
Kind of amazing. And then we have 102 followers now as of today. And today is October 1st. So for us, it's going to be September 1st, but October 1st, you guys need to remember to put blow cinnamon into your house. Or if you have animals and young children and you're afraid of them licking the cinnamon up off the floor, throw some cinnamon sticks. Yes.
But make sure you pick it up right after you throw it so they don't run off with it.
Like-minded. Mm-hmm. Meg's having some mic issues, so she'll be right back. Bullshit.
It might just be private.
No, it's not private. Okay, hold on. I gotta open it. So today, for our 100th episode, it says you have access to it. I don't know. Anyways, we are doing a special episode because we had a poll up until today's date at midnight this morning, which is 8:31 on our Facebook and our Instagram page, as well as on our group, to vote for today's episode. The only person that voted is our lovely Trey. Thank you, Trey.
Hi, Trey.
He's the one that told us about the audio issues.
I know.
I did the audio scrubber and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm the problem. I am the problem. I am the whole problem.
You're not a problem.
If you're a problem, then we're all problems.
It's true. So I'm eating a donut. They opened a Shipley's down the street. They had Shipley's Donuts in San Francisco way back when. And I was obsessed with them because they were the fluffiest donuts ever. And then I found out they had them here and I cried. You made no face. I was like, oh, you okay?
It's just my face. It's fine. The issue with the Google Doc is me this time. I'm the problem. It's fine. I didn't look at anything, but we're good now. Let's proceed.
Oh, of course. Before we get started today, we started going over, everything on the followers. We have 102 on our YouTube. YouTube, we got 24 still. On Facebook, that is my author profile. Hold on. We have 72 followers and 112 on our Instagram, which is huge because we were sitting at 80 for a while, I also posted one for this last week that I was working on, Nanny Doss, the last picture I've already gotten a message for, which is, clothes don't cause rape, rapists do. And I already got a message saying thank you for writing that. And I was like, oh, I didn't sexualize it as one or the other because I put statistics for men and women.
I did see that.
Because people are monsters. Speaking of which, Trey picked the topic for today, as I said. So we have to do a lovely trigger warning and add in. This is a Pandemonium Witches podcast trigger warning. The following episode contains graphic violence and gruesome depictions. Listener discretion is advised. Schmeck's worker, schmurder, and essay, as well as kidnapping, abduction, and, of course, unalivings of a brutal nature.
I thought Trey was our friend.
Listen, I thought so too. It was Rachel's friend, okay?
He likes true crime, okay? Also, I'm just casually over here bleeding on my leg.
What did you do?
Yeah, it's way too early for blood.
The dishwasher bit me.
This is why housework should be illegal.
So I went to go shut it, and the corner of it just went shunk on my shin, and I was just like, "Oh, it's just a little, just a little skin taken off, and
tis only a
no
flesh
harm, no
wound."
fail." I was like, "Oh, it'll just be a bruised little skin off." I went to go pull my leg up on my chair, and I went, "Oh, what's this thing on my leg?"
Something is sticky.
Just a stream of dried blood, and I was like, "Ooh, oopsies."
Oh man, made me bleed my own blood.
So our puppy is nicknamed the Crackhead because she just all.
She's a puppy.
She is the puppy, but she's part husky, part pit. And I was thinking she was Malinois because of how she was acting and her coloring, or German Shepherd. No, so we just call her the Crackhead. And Emily just responded to our group chat. Okay, you said you were taking the crackhead outside. I thought you said you were checking the crackhead outside. Like, oh, how nice of you to check on the neighborhood meth head.
So sweet to get your community service checked off for the day.
No, ma'am.
Add it to your Finch. Click it off with your burb.
She's looking at me. I don't have anything for you.
You've already eaten.
I have. Well,
we've given you your sacrifice for the day. Wait for later.
I'm gonna have this later because I don't want her to try and take it from me. So today we are talking about a pretty horrific case based out of
You had a visitor of the two-legged variety, living.
Speaking of, I finally figured out who that dead person outside is, because I was assuming for the longest time it was Rachel's grandfather, and it is. It is in fact Rachel's grandfather.
It is not the friendly neighborhood crackhead method.
No, he would take quite offense about that.
I'm glad.
Good to know it's not him then.
We have headphones. He would be very offended. Her grandmother sits and kibitzes with my grandmother. And my grandmother's been over at my cousin's house and my mom's house, just visiting other people. Sometimes she doesn't stay for a while. She stays for like maybe half hour, 20 minutes, and then dips out, just kind of says hello. And then I'm just like, wow, who the hell are you? But I'm not that rude, because it's, I know they know somebody. Anyways.
You figured that because they got past the wards and everything that, okay, you're all right.
Right. And I mean, normally they only get past the wards because Frank brings them in, or Abuela, or they know someone that I know that I'm supposed to give a message. And I'm like, okay, he wants to watch golf. I just assumed.
Yeah, he did love him some golf.
So are you ladies ready? Oh, she's doing something. Also, next season, because we're going to be taking, after the month of October, we're taking a few months off so we can recoup, because editing takes me a few days. So we're...
That and the content is kind of hard. So, like, from a mental health perspective, treat yourself to some not murder. To be completely honest, though, I listen to true crime while I'm in the shower, which is probably also not a great thing, but to each their own.
I mean, I too like to listen to true crime, but that's mainly when I'm cleaning my house. Shout out to Michaela, who deep cleans her house while listening to us on the big TV in the living room.
Yes, or the when I'm cooking dinner. Seems like I put the headphones in, so I'm not like, ruining the children or whatever it is they say.
Meg, you couldn't. Your children are lovely. There's no way that you could ruin your children.
I thought you were going to say they're already ruined, and I was like, also probably true, but it's fine.
They're not. They're not.
Not trying to add to
polite.
it. No.
They're very polite.
Good. Thank you. When they're out of the home, they're lovely.
So, Trey, don't get too excited. We're going to get to the Too Long Didn't Read first. He's like, oh my God, they're doing my topic. Yeah. Hold on. So, featured on such podcasts as Crime Junkie, the Mesa, New Mexico-based podcast, Voices for Justice, Case File podcast, New Mexico Insiders, the Chapter podcast, and Going West. This month, because today is the big episode, I'm going to tell everybody what the hints we're leading up to. We are covering the top 10 spookiest states in the United States, going from 10 backwards, leading up to the first. And we're also covering the 5 most haunted place in the world.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
The hauntings and scary things.
Well, because of that, we have to lead into October with one last murder, of course, schmurder, as we do. I am sorry.
Yeah, I showered for this.
You got your donuts and your coffee. Now we all have our
hot chocolate. Because I have to sleep today.
Fair. Super fair. I'm an apple cider gal, not a hot chocolate gal. That whole lactose thing gets in the way. Rude.
I mean,
if only they offered apple cider at Dunkin'.
Right? Come on, Dunkin'. It's literally the Burr months. Let's go.
I would totally get some.
It's fall. It's already fall outside in Texas. It is starting to feel like fall. So
we have windows open and AC off in Virginia, which is fabulous. For days.
I hate you for that, because I can't do that here.
Not yet. Also, we will find out if the crackhead can jump through windows. That'll be fun. I don't know. She seems athletic.
She does, but right now she's laying on the floor by the back door. That's her safe area, is right next to the kennel. So today's topic, known as the West Mesa Murders. They were subject to the 2024 crime thriller film called Boneyard, which stars Mel Gibson and 50 Cent. I wrote down 50 Cent, very proper. No, it's 50 Cent, and is based on real life events regarding the victims of the West Mesa Bone Collector, also known as the West Mesa Murders.
None of that sounds like positivity. Like, it's positively bad.
As we've stated before, we are all about the victims and villainizing the villain. Get off kilter ship. I love you, Meg. But if you guys have questions about our links, we have the links on our Facebook and our website. When we release the episodes, we do release little pictures and all the links. You can also go to our website, which is tpw3mpodcast at godaddysites.com. While Boneyard the film is a fictionalized case, this particular case is not. There is a documentary about it on HBO called Born Evil, the Serial Killer and the Savior, which is produced by Michael Bay. We all love Michael Bay, and explores the bodies buried in makeshift graves in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Michael Bay, the Bay. Michael Bay is Bay. I don't know. I'm sorry. The filter is not on yet.
Would he be True Crime Bay? Because we got Salt Bay. We got Book Talk Bay. Would he be True Crime Bay? Because that would be the Bay of the Bay?
He's TCB. Sorry, I can't. I need to mute.
Than TCBY, you know.
Hey, that's where I went after I got my license. My driving instructor took me after I passed my test.
That is so cute. I love it.
Right? I'm sad it's gone now, though.
I know, me too. There was one next door to my parents' old house.
Sweet Frog just doesn't do it the same.
So the documentary, I did watch it. It is graphic. They go into we go into detail, but not quite as much as other podcasts where Michaela did say it was a little too much for the John Getru episode. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was trying not to be graphic because I don't want to go too far into detail.
Like, it doesn't need to be an immersive experience.
No, definitely not.
Just the overarching, here's the flavor, it is bad. That's kind of where we live.
Everything good, Kat?
Feet are cold. So I was sending him a message so I can get socks. So this documentary follows the extensive efforts by law enforcement to solve the case and identify the monster in this instance, which led to the discovery of the remains. The case is active and still cold. I did send messages to the Mesa Police Department. I left messages on the phone. I also left messages for local law enforcement to discuss, climbing on my desk, to discuss this case because it involves working women. Because we support all shoes in this household, and that includes schmex workers. I got a lot of my information from the official Albuquerque, New Mexico website. That being the case, the too long didn't read of this heinous monster is one of a man or a woman, and the investigation of disappearances and of unlivings of 11 women and one unborn child.
That's so much. That's so bad. Like one is too much, but like plus 10 is also bad. Great. I'm so ready for today. Thanks, Trey. I showered for this. Like,
mean, if we had other people that voted, this wouldn't be an issue. We might have had a different topic, but he was the only one.
I would blame somebody else then. So congratulations. This is all for you, buddy.
Listen, it was either this or the Black Dahlia, so I went with this.
Fine.
That is very true.
He gave me both options, and I was like, well, let me research both, because I already want to cover the Black Dahlia for a case later. Did you know during COVID, they had an immersive crime scene walkthrough that you could actually go through? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I hate that. No thanks. Also, I need my leg to still quit bleeding. It's still bleeding.
Well, it's the burn months. Collect that and sell it to a vampire. Make some extra dollars. I don't know how much it goes for, but you know. I feel like already on the outside, you can't like hand it over to somebody who might need to use it in the medical community. So,
I mean, I am O positive, so I mean, they're always.
Hey, nice. I am not O positive. I'm very positive, but not in my blood.
AB negative.
I'm AB positive. Look at the three of us.
I know. So, back to the case at hand. Many of the victims had ties to drug use and schmeck's work, although some, like 15-year-old, this is where we go to the pictures. And you're going to scroll down to page 2. She's the second photo. What are you doing? Hey, get out of here. Hold on. She likes to eat paper.
So she's also part goat.
I mean, considering goats will eat almost anything, that's fair.
So, if you go to the second page, 15-year-old Jamie Barella, which we'll discuss later, she was not involved in any of the activities of drug use or schmeck's work. And today, again, I'll give the trigger warning one more time in case you walked out of the room or anything like that. So we're going to talk about schmurder, unalivings, or hermicide, as we like to call it, because YouTube flags videos that use the actual words. Discussion of SA or schmeck's work, as many of the victims were schmeck's workers. Violence against women and children, missing person cases, possible human trafficking, unsolved serial killer cases, body discovery and forensic details, and missing and murdered Indigenous women. I did get facts about those. So while the majority of the known victims were Hispanic or Native, this particular case actually touches on both systemic and neglect of missing women in marginalized groups and the MMIW crisis, which is the missing and murdered Indigenous women. That being said, if you haven't had your hydration station set up or taken your meds, we'll wait a second while you guys get started.
I do have a question.
Absolutely.
Why does it on the website page for Jamie say that it's resolved?
So when I was looking into it, let me go back to that. That means that they found her body and marked it as a quote unquote accidental death. It is not an accidental death. Yeah. So they tied her up with the missing schmeck's workers and drug use. So that's not at all the case for her.
Thank goodness there's somebody out there with her. Okay. Thank you for answering that.
I hate that there's a type. Like, I hate, like, looking at the pictures, I hate that there's a type. Like, obviously, that's, ugh. Leave people alone. Like, just generally, just leave people alone. I do. I don't want to be seen by people. Don't talk to me. Yet here we sit on a YouTube video.
Yeah, but think about how long it took us to actually get around to doing the video, though, because we're just like, we really don't want to do this. We don't like being seen.
Right, but all the like, I notice as we watch the back, like as we put videos up, I notice how many faces I make, and I can't fix it. Right, like there's so, as Mike says, there's so many subtitles just on my face. Like, faces shouldn't have subtitles, but
with all
here
of our
we
faces.
sit.
And then there was just the one episode where I was just full RBF the whole entire episode.
I hate this place.
I was editing that episode and I was like, why are you mad at me the whole episode? And she's like, I'm not mad. And I was like, really? Sent her the screenshot and she's like, whoops, my bad.
That was just the subtitles on my face. My bad.
I forgot to turn the interactive feature on.
Josh was looking for pee pads. So we had them on top of the bookcase in the living room. So that way I could just reach up and grab them because even though I'm short, I can still reach up to that. She was hitting the side of the bookcase earlier this week and was knocking off the pop pads. So I put them next to the pots and pans.
Little shit.
I thought you said possum pans, and I was like, what the hell are possum pans? I mean, Texas is a weird place, but I didn't know. I understand now. Thanks.
You're welcome. I also have a new photo from Emily that we're going to use for our trigger warning, which I actually have to update. You guys have like another minute before I start into everything. So
Ugh.
I know, I'm sorry. So this is going to be our new trigger warning. Sent it to the group chat.
I love it.
I love it. He's so great.
So it's a possum holding a stop sign, and he's just laying down with tears coming out of his eyes. It's perfect.
It looks like a really great tattoo, honestly.
I really want to get it now. I just
on my palm when I just show people. Stop. No mas.
Well, party possums, it's that time, which means let's get into it. So that being said, you should have your hydration station up and you should have taken your meds. Have you guys taken your meds this morning? Meg, do you take meds in the morning?
I take vitamins.
Me
I'm unmedicated, so this is just au naturel.
Same, just raw dog in life, man.
Right, every day. And I have to like shepherd children through it. That's scary.
I mean, more power to you, dude. I get it.
Yeah. We're back in school, that matters.
It does. It does. I mean, like, and I'm really proud of your kids.
Thank you. We're making the transition to middle school with my oldest, so locker issues. It's fine. Figuring it out.
Well, don't forget the locker stuff you can get from Five Below, the stands.
Oh yeah, we have those. And also, like, real glad I didn't grab him a mirror or something because he was like, absolutely not. And I was like, yeah, of course not. It's so silly. So I got like a marker, a little holder for pens, and like a whiteboard. And he looked at it and he was like, all right, it's not lame. I was like, taking that as a win.
Well, we'll get it where we can. You good, Rachel?
Yeah, the ice maker decided it was going to drop a bunch of ice, and it decided, four-legged Dakota decided that it was somebody outside the house. I have to park. Like, dude, it was the ice maker.
Naturally, just doing my job, Mom.
Seriously, he's trying to protect you. My God.
Ice can be dangerous. I've broken a wrist. Granted, it was outside in the middle of winter, but it's fine.
Still dangerous. Still the same thing. But yeah, no, I opened up the freezer. I showed it to him. He was like, oh, okay. Like, dude.
I know I ask this every time. Are you guys ready?
No, but sure.
Born unready. Let's do this.
So, let's get started as we always do at the beginning. Several suspects have been named, but none have been arrested or charged. While the unalivings were initially believed to be the work of a schmerial killer, the involvement of Schmeck's trafficking ring has been suspected, which has been linked to Zorro Ranch, which was owned by Epstein.
Ew, that's so early in the story to start with that. Blech.
at least getting it out of the way now. Okay. So some have also drawn links to the estate under the ownership of the financier and Schmeck's trafficker Jeffrey Epstein at the time, due to its close proximity of the site of the killings, which is only a few miles away from where the bodies were found. That being said, a lot of the characteristics of the girls and women that were found have the same characteristics as his victims. The victims have been theorized that they could have been targets of the trafficking ring. Also noted was an anonymous tip to authorities and APD and FBI linked the murders to a suspect from El Salvador. They suspected the involvement of the trafficking ring operated through neighboring Texas and targeted Schmeck's workers during events through the Southwest, Southern, and Western United States, especially regularly scheduled events such as the New Mexico State Fair, and in this case, to take advantage of a reliably heavier traffic. During those times, there is an uptick in Schmeck's work and a lot of kidnappings and people going missing, especially during the state fairs and during a lot of things happening. She has
just doing crackhead things.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of like fairs and stuff like that that go on, along with, you know, the festivals that happen in Southern California leading into Texas. This small fragment of of a trafficking ring involves numerous population centers, including Vegas, El Paso, believe it or not, Killeen, and Denver.
This is why I don't leave my house.
The reason I hated researching this case is not because of the victims. Rachel, where do I live?
Where did most of these take place? In Texas. Where'd you grow up? California. Fuck.
So I used to drive when I would go visit one of my friends out in Texas, and in Arizona. I would drive the West Mesa Freeway, and this case just made me angrier and angrier.
Naturally.
So between 2003 and 2006, which was the time that I was driving and actively picking up hitchhikers in those areas, because Rachel can tell you I used to do that shit, at least 19 women and teenage girls and underage women disappeared from the streets of Albuquerque and the other sites. 8 of them are still missing and unidentified. They are known as Jane and Janie Does. Authorities believe the 11 West Mesa victims were killed or unalived between 2003 and 2005, as their bodies were buried on a land that was later cleared for housing developments. Do you need a second, Meg?
I just don't know that I want to know that bodies were found in the place that I am living. Right? And I don't, like, some states have rules that you have to disclose certain things like that. Like if a crime was committed or like the body was found. So I don't know. I might be living somewhere else if that's the case. It's just all bad right now. And I feel like it's not getting better. So I'm just going to lock into the bad.
I agree.
It's different between, oh, somebody died here because of, old age or,
Right. But like not a crime.
As opposed to somebody got murdered here.
Yes.
That I need to know before buying the house.
Yes. Please tell me if there was like mass murder and Mylans hanging out. That's not good vibes to build a house on. I mean, I have a hard enough time if you're clearing bees to build me a house, so let's not include people in that.
I still want a house where we can have, native flora and fauna to the area, so that way I can have a honeybee population.
I'm obsessed with this woman who built a bee house, and there's like 200,000 bees in a hive underneath the house. And like when I say house, it's like a little cabin, and you go in and you lay there, and the buzz of the bees actually like resets your nervous system. I'll send you the video later. It's really lovely. like she built, it was like this custom built wooden thing, and like so the bees don't come into the little place that you're laying, but they're underneath, like just living their little bee life.
That's pretty
Right?
freaking
And
awesome. Please send that link because
I
I would
will.
like to look into that now.
Right? And literally, like, the hives are in a drawer. Like, there's two hives and they're in a drawer. So if you need to get to the hive to like check on the health of the, the bees or whatever, you just pull it out. She's like, it's really heavy, but it's a drawer, and just pull it out, and there's just like the whole hive. There's two of them. It's
That's really
lovely,
cool.
right? That's your levity for this for right now. A little bit of lightness about the bees. I have a bee on my arm, so I'm kind of like bee obsessed.
We love bees. They give us our fruits and vegetables and wheat and all that fun stuff. We love bees.
And even though wasp and hornets also do the same thing, bees are at least not angry little fuckers.
Very true. I like the big fat carpenter bees. They used to hang out in front of my apartment in Virginia. Rachel remembers we'd be on the phone and there would one. I named him Steve. And it was Steve 1, Steve 2, Steve 3, however many. And he would always just ram into the wall on the side of my house. Just burn. Anyways, so police partnered with archaeologists at New Mexico State University to carefully excavate the site. And they also brought in other archaeologists from other sites as well. In an interview with A&E True Crime, former Albuquerque Police Chief Michael Greer stated this, quote, "It was a huge, huge crime scene. And as more remains were uncovered, more parents grew desperate with fear. Dental records and DNA was used to identify most of the victims. One of the few pieces of physical evidence was a plant tag, which we will discuss later, discovered near a body tracing back to landscaper by the name of Joseph Blay, which if you go to the photos, he is on. So when the backhoes was bringing up and they found a skull, and that was, I think, one of the episodes of CSI that they did. So
That's terrible. Like, but I appreciate that they're bringing everybody together. But also, like, when you're in school to become an archaeologist, you're not like, I'm going to go look at recent bodies. I just don't feel like that's a thing that you study for. I
mean,
get it, but
yeah,
that's not a dinosaur.
A Dionyssaurus Rex. So the former police chief stated, "We went through thousands of receipts from nurseries, but weren't able to connect Joe, Mr. Blay, to the murders. There were so many dead ends. And that's why the biggest frustration for Greer was when you deal with the families, it's just heart-wrenching." So we're about to discuss the victims. We're going to go into small details. I wasn't able to get a lot because, again, I didn't get any of my phone calls or emails answered. So the first victim, if you go back to the photos and you go all the way up to the top, the first victim is going to be Monica Diana Candelaria. She is still considered missing. She was 22 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen on either May 11th or May 15 of 2003 near Atrisco and Central. Her missing persons case was investigated but went cold soon after. Her body was not found. Victoria Ann Chavez, 26 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen June 5th, 2003. She was reported missing to the police and about a year later by her mother. So her mom didn't report her missing until well after a year later. They told her that she was run away.
I was going to say, was she also a Schmex worker, which is why mom probably didn't say anything because they didn't have contact?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Silana Tyreen Edwards. This was the one that I had the most information on, which was great. Not great, but great. She was one of the youngest, not the youngest, but one of the youngest. 15 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen on August 17th, 2003. Using sketch and dental records, the Office of the Medical Investigator identified Miss Edwards on November 13th, 2009. Law enforcement authorities in Lawton, Oklahoma had considered her endangered runaway and reported her missing in 2003. May of 2004, Solana had been seen associating with Schmeck's workers on East Colfax Avenue in Aurora, Colorado. That's not far from Oklahoma. It's a little bit of a jaunt, but it's still a long trek. You would probably have to hitchhike to get there. She may have been staying at the Ranger Motel, and Solana was seen in the company of 3 other women, Lakrita, Ty, and Diamond. She might have been using the nicknames Mimi or Chocolate, and she was 15 when she was last seen. Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Meg.
Yep, I've been there.
I mean,
thank you for editing it because I was confused on what was being said.
I'm a confusing human, so that's not hard to understand.
That's valid, though.
Doreen Marquezin next, and she was 24 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen October 10th of 2003. There are reports of Doreen dropping her kid off at school and other reports of her being seen alone walking in the Barelas neighborhood. Next, I couldn't find a photo. I literally looked everywhere. I was working on this case for about a week and a half. Veronica Romero, she was 28 at the time of her disappearance, and she was last seen on Valentine's Day, February 14th of 2004. As you notice, I'm going in order of when they were last seen. She was reported by her family the next day on the 15th as missing. She was not a Schmeck's worker. She's just standing there. There were 2 cousins that were reported missing and taken at the same time. Jamie Valera and Evelyn Jesus Maria Salazar. Jamie Katerina Valera was 15 at the time of her disappearance. She was identified on January 26, 2010. She was last seen leaving a family gathering with her cousin Evelyn during the month of April 2004. Evelyn, her cousin, has been identified as victim of a Schmerial healer and eventually 2 months earlier before her cousin, Jamie. Both young women were heading to a park near San Mateo and Gibson in southeast Albuquerque when they disappeared. Her cousin, Evelyn Jesus Maria Salazar, was 27 at the time of her disappearance. Both women were last seen on March 26, 2004, using DNA evidence. Forensic experts at the University of North Texas identified the remains finally, November 17, 2009. Next, we have Virginia Clevin. She was 24 at the time of her disappearance, and she was last seen on April 13th, 2004. Virginia had reached out to her father to tell him she was moving in with her new boyfriend. This was noticed as his last form of communication with his daughter, who he did talk to very frequently. When he didn't hear from her after 4 months, he became very concerned and reported her missing to the police. Using DNA evidence, forensic experts at the University of North Texas identified her on November 17th, 2009 as well. Next, we have Julie Cindy Nito. She was 24 at the time of her disappearance, and she was last seen on July 15th, 2004. She was last seen at her grandfather's house by her mother. This one, I loved her name. I love all of their names, but I loved her name the most because it sounds like somebody I would write into one of my books. Cinnamon Elks.
That's fun. And that's like given name?
Yeah, that's her given
like legal
name.
Nice.
I was like, holy crap. So she was last seen after being arrested and brought to the Metropolitan. Ha! I got it on the second time. Metropolitan.
There you go. Whichever syllables you like, use those.
Detention center. She was reported missing by her mother about a month later. Next, we have our final victim for the core 11. Okay. Michelle Gina Valdez. She was 22 at the time of her disappearance, and she was last seen on September 22nd, 2004. She was reported missing almost 6 months later, February of 2005, and she was 4 months pregnant at the time of her unaliving. So that being said, that leaves us at September 22nd, 2004, where we start our timeline. Are you guys ready, or do you need a break for a second?
No, I think I'm ready, but the oldest was 28? No? What was the oldest? Tell me again.
The oldest right now we're looking at is 32.
32. Okay, I was like, I think there's one more, but I could only remember the 28, but they're all so close.
And they all, if you look at the pictures, they all kind of have the same facial features. They all have the dark hair and the olive skin tones. There was only one of them that was a little lighter than the rest, which was Cinnamon and Evelyn. But the youngest was Jamie, who had just turned 15 at the time of her disappearance.
I hate that there are patterns. Like, I hate finding patterns and stuff like that. It helps to understand what we're looking for as far as, like, trying to solve things, but just the fact that there are patterns just sucks.
I mean, the one thing that really hit, so I did a 23 ancestry.com 23andMe about 10, 12 years ago. Rachel knows the story. And I found out I was indigenous. I found out I was 17 or 20%. Now I'm at 22% because they keep rerunning your DNA every 6 months. I'm at 22% native. And even though I'm at that percentage, I'm still never going to, I'm going to learn more about my heritage, yes, but I'm never ever going to try and take those benefits from somebody who's living on or is more in touch with their indigenous roots than I am. But I became super active about 10 years ago in the MMIW, like, program, and I went to a couple of protests way back in the day, and there needs to be a lot more verbalization for people of color and missing and indigenous women and people who are in minority groups and stuff like that, because there's not. And it really pissed me off when I found out that my friend went missing, and she's a person, unfortunately, I can't ever cover due to her parents' request, because they want her soul to be at rest. And that's the only place we can do it, because we don't mention her name. We don't bring out her photo, nothing. And it makes me sad because I can't put her on my ofrenda, but
You need a moment?
No, it just upsets me. I'm fine. I promise. I'll be okay. If I need a moment, I'll get up. I'll walk out of the room. I'll just take a second. So August of 2005, Ida Lopez, who is the woman that I did send an email to. I sent it twice just to see if maybe she might have missed the first one. I sent it again. An Albuquerque police detective, she started compiling a list of missing women from the Albuquerque area. Satellite imaging taken. What is Dakota's problem?
Somebody's probably walking down the street. He does that. I'm like, really? You're being so needy today of all days.
Dramatic much?
So dramatic. Anyways, continue. You're just going to see me like randomly shout at him off screen.
That's okay. I'm doing the same thing with my children. The two-legged variety.
Satellite imagery was taken because they do take photos just to kind of keep with the census and whatever. They looked at it from 2003 to 2005, shows tire marks and areas of disturbed soil in the area where the remains were uncovered. According to the photos, the last victim was buried in 2005, which was when the last one had gone missing. By 2006, development had encroached on the area, and soon after, the site was disturbed, buried, and platted for residential development. So they started like uprooting areas to lay line work for electrical and plumbing and gas lines and all that stuff. So December 2006, the first suspect was noted. Lorenzo Montoya, which I do have a photo. It's down back here. Let me just screenshot. Ironically enough, he looks like one of my ex-boyfriends. Yeah. So that is Lorenzo Montoya.
It kind of looks like a bad guy in an action movie.
He does.
Right? Like one of the henchmen that doesn't really get a name in the script, but just like Henchman 3.
Henchman 1, Henchman 2, Henchman 3, yeah. So he was a suspect in multiple missing Schmex workers in the Albuquerque area. And he was shot and unalived by a man after being seen moving his girlfriend's unalived body. We'll get to that later.
I feel like that's not the kind of thing you put a pin in. It seems like kind of a really big footnote. That's a 2 feet note.
It definitely is a big footnote, but the reason we'll talk about it later is how big of a pin I am putting in these guys is because they probably were working together, because it's not just one person, it's probably 2 people who are working together.
Ew, okay.
All right. So he was later named as a possible suspect in the unalivings for the West Mesa Murders in September of 2007. So a whole year has passed at this point. The West Mesa case finally got media attention. So it had been from 2003, when the first girl went missing, to 2007, 4 whole years. I'm getting goosebumps. Same as when I was doing research, before national media got attention to it.
That's horrible.
I
mean,
tell you.
Even in the early 2000s, media was still, it's not what it is today, right? It's not as fast. We're not picking up things as quickly then. But today it's like, as soon as somebody gets a mere whisper, it's written somewhere. But even in the early 2000s, we were still a little bit faster with our pickup. So it's a little bit upsetting that this was not included until well later on.
Well, Rachel made a very valid point. She wasn't blonde, she wasn't blue-eyed, and she wasn't white.
I know, but that doesn't make it right.
Oh, definitely not. But they do the same thing now, just as they did then. It's Native and Indigenous, they get, or any BIPOC, they get swept under the rug.
And it's terrible, because I mean, like, my God. Hey, leave it. He keeps trying to take my muku latte, which is my stuffy. That is not yours. You want to come say hi? Come here.
I'm absolutely in love with her little half flop ear.
My little face. I went to PetSmart Thursday because Tank had to get groomed, and they have out there like decor for Halloween things for doggies, and they have these $5 stuffies for dogs, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'll totally get one of those. The stuffy is bigger than my dog, so I was like, yeah, probably shouldn't buy that one. So I put it back and got something different for $3. But the stuffies are like, it would be perfect size for her. They're like actual stuffy sized, and it has like one little squeaker in it, and it's like a Halloween cow. So worth looking into, so you can save your own animals.
I mean, she has claimed the Sally plushie that I had. So she's been running, that's her baby. She runs around it with her in her teeth, and then she has a tiny strawberry and an octopus. So 2007, September, there was an Albuquerque Tribune article that was published called The Missing. That's all the title was. Poignant title. It was talking about suspicious disappearances of women in Albuquerque. The article contained a list of missing women and children that were known as Schmex workers. 2008, due to the housing bubble collapse, development on the west side halted before housing could be built at the burial site. After neighbors complained of flooding at a platted site due to the burial of natural arroyo, the developer built a retaining wall to channel stormwater to a retention pond built in the approximate area of the burial site, inadvertently exposing bones to the surface. So because he built the retention pond, the bones were found.
Not the kind of surprise I'm looking for when I'm playing like digging games.
No. So prior to 2000,
take a quartz any day. Like
some nice little amethyst or turquoise,
right?
I'd rather have like rocks and crystals.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, previous, you know, like flint or like arrowheads or something.
Yeah.
Not bones, not bodies. Please no.
I don't need any dados, thanks though.
So prior to 2009, Detective Ida started constructing a list of missing Albuquerque women. This list contained women who had ties to prostitution and drug addiction, who had gone missing between 2001 and 2006. 10 of the women on her list were later found buried at West Mesa, although 9 of the women with similar backgrounds went missing, raising concern that there might be more victims buried in other areas.
Like those odds are like way too high. Like girl needs to play the lottery, but dang. Not. We like a smarty, but geez.
This is kind of the case, I don't know if you've seen it, but the Long Island serial killer, where they found...
I know it well.
So I watched that documentary after you told me about it. Oh my God, he was gone and I didn't sleep for 3 days. Rachel had to force me to take more sleep medication because somebody decided it was smart to watch it before bed.
Yeah, not the best choice. Like I said, murder is a shower activity. We listen to murder in the shower while we're cleaning, not before we go to bed. We don't murder people in the shower. Let's be clear.
I was going to say,
I'm not condoning murder. Not condoning murder. Not condoning murder. But if we're going to consume the retelling of it, it is an activity that we do while we're being active, not when we're trying to calm down.
Like mowing the grass. My friend listens to our podcast when she does outdoor landscaping.
Cleaning, like doing mass cleaning of the house.
Thank you, Michaela. As you can notice, I am not going into detail of how they died because of the platitude. Would that be the right word? Platitude? I don't think that's the right word. Badness?
Did you say badness?
Yes.
Yeah, for the magnitude?
Magnitude. I knew it ended with a tude, and I don't.
You did, and it wasn't an attitude either.
Are you ready to know the next victims?
No, go for it.
So these ones, I could not find any photos at all. So we will be putting the missing women photos, which we do have little women cutouts that we've been putting on our videos. The first is Darlene Marie Trulio, 20 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen July 4th of 2001. Martha Jo Lucier, 32 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen on July 4th, 2001. Oh, excuse me. She was last seen September 3rd, 2003. Anna Love Vigil, 20 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen on January 21st, 2005. Felipa Victoria Gonzalez, 22 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen April 27th of 2005. Nina Brenda Heron. She was 21 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen May 14th, 2005. Jillian Elizabeth Henderson Ortiz. She was 19 at the time of her disappearance, and she was last seen on January 16th, 2006. Chantel Monique Waits. She was 29 at the time of her disappearance, and she was last seen March 15th, 2006. Leah Rochelle Peebles. 23 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen March 15th, 2006.
As somebody older than all of these people, it's so upsetting to hear. Like, it's upsetting to hear at any point, but just knowing how much more of a life that there is to live.
There's one last victim, Vanessa Reed, 24 at the time of her disappearance. She was last seen June 13th, 2006.
Still, I hate it. Not okay.
Right. So it had been a while, it had been 2 whole years since the housing bubble collapsed, right? So, about a year and a half. So February 2nd of 2009, Christine Ross and her dog Ruka left their home in Albuquerque's west side to go for a walk. Ruka found a large bone protruding from the earthen trail. Christine felt that the bone didn't look normal. She took a picture of it and sent a text message to her sister, who's a registered nurse. She did not touch the bone. She took it out of the dog's mouth, but didn't touch it. You know what I mean? Like manhandle it. She just got it out of the mouth. A little while later, Christine's sister contacted her and told her that the bone resembled a human femur. Christine immediately identified the Albuquerque Police Department, and it was quickly determined that the bone was in fact human.
That's what I'm saying. Like, one, why is it always a femur? I get why it's always a femur, but it's always a femur. Like, why can't somebody be like, here's, I don't know, a hip bone? Like, the fact that I have to carry these things around, right? But, like, why do I have to carry a pelvis around that's this big? And the first thing you're going to find is my femur. Rude. My hips have caused much more trouble.
Same. Felt.
But also, good on her for using her resources and being like, hey, sis, happy Sunday. Quick question. Does this look weird to you?
Well, this would uncover what would later be known as New Mexico's most chilling crime. Soon after, fears of a serial killer swept the city as investigators unearthed more than one skeletal remain. During the ensuing weeks, because, they have to bring out archaeologists to dust. If there are bones, they have to dust the area. They uncovered the remains of 11 women and one unborn child buried in makeshift graves.
Gross. Like, I already know we don't have respect for human life in that way, apparently, because, like, this is what we're doing. But it's like insult to injury. Not a great look, guys. Not a great look.
No, definitely not. And the women and girls were between the ages of 15 and 32. Most were Hispanic or indigenous, and they were involved with drugs and schmex work. Ciliana Edwards, the 15-year-old runaway from Lawton, Oklahoma, was the only person of color and the only victim from out of state that was located.
I feel like I have thoughts, but they're not, like, cohesive quite yet. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have thoughts, they're just not... Like, it's not like they were doing research, right? We weren't doing research. We weren't, like, following these people. It was almost like we knew the area. We're just going to grab and dash. And I don't like that.
Well, and my immediate thought when I was going through the research is he could have been a trucker. That was my first thought. And then looking at the suspects, which we're going into now, it makes sense on why they picked these people as the suspects, because they checked the right boxes. So are you ready to talk about the suspects?
I have some unused anger. Let's go.
Rachel, you good? All right. So February 9th, 2009, Joseph Blay became the first possible suspect. His ex-wife, April Jillian, suggested to the police that her ex-husband may know something in regard to the Schmurders because he would regularly dump landscaping debris at the West Mesa location during the night.
Okay, but yes, sis, for ratting out your husband for being suspicious, yes.
I think more women need to do that.
See something, say something. If you can do it at the airport, you can do it in your house.
Exactly. So the very next day, February 10th, the first victim was identified, which was Victoria Chavez, 26, and the investigators and the anthropologists did identify her using DNA markers. They would continue to identify victims over the next year through dental and DNA records, as well as facial identification with using the bones to reconstruct their faces. I will be right back.
I always forget that this is like only 20 years ago. Right? Like some of the things that we talk about are so long ago that I'm like, oh, like I feel.
And then
more
something
removed.
in the 2000s, you're just like, oh shit, that was my lifetime.
I was living. Like I know what I was doing during those years. That's bananas.
Right.
That's very bananas. And they're not even my favorite fruit. You're still muted.
I hope you guys had a little bit of a reprieve.
Kind of. I was just talking about the fact that I don't like that this was during my lifetime when I remember living. Like, this was not long enough ago for it to be comfortable. And I know it's not supposed to be comfortable. I get that. But still. I have to go on living after this, so.
Well, and I mean, like, this is the main reason why I like to do, the main reason for our podcast, for honoring the victims as we do, is for this main reason. My mic went, phew.
Oh, I was like, the way that your camera is, I can only see, like, your ear. And so I was like, I don't know what we're looking at. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, the mic was, I love my mic. Papa Hans got it for me. But so April 2nd, 2009, detectives of West Mesa told Isabel Candelera, Monica's mom, which is one of the original 11, that they identified Monica as one of the 12 victims found on the West Mesa.
Because they counted the baby? Okay.
Police announced Friday and to the public that they identified 2 more victims. So that Friday before April 2nd. Veronica Romero and Monica Candelaria. They identified the victims and told the parents first.
As they should have, but I have a problem with the fact that now we're going to talk about the fact that we're doing something when we haven't talked about it before and the fact that they're missing. Until when? Sorry, just going to say that. Just a little mad. Just a little angry in there. Because I understand that we tout when we do good things, but also we need to bring awareness to things that are happening regardless of the type of person. Bad is bad, no matter who you are. My soapbox is now free for someone else. Enjoy.
There was a site that I used while going through these. This is known as the Missing or Schmurdered Indigenous Women Located Report to the Congressional Requesters. They were going through this to find a federal response to be able to locate, find, or be able to return these women back to their families I cried reading that report because it's just, I'll of course put it on the list of links that I have, but it's one of those things when you're sitting there and you're like, it's not possible. There's no way. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There very much is.
Agreed. And thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. It's, and I'm also putting the websites that I use, which actually target the missing and Indigenous women that are still on these lists, and we'll talk about that later. So, still on April 2nd of 2009, Isabel hopes to identify that by identifying her daughter, this will bring about more leads to investigators and help them figure out who is responsible for creating one of the largest crime scenes in Albuquerque history. And that's saying something because there were some, Mexican native wars out there. So since then, this was the second biggest. So June 11th of 2009, police finally issue a search warrant to Joseph Blai's house and business transactions. So his receipts and everything like that. A tree tag was found next to the body of yet another victim, which led police to get the search warrant for Joe's house and landscaping business. June 12th, 2009, 4 years almost to the date of the second victim. The victims' deaths are finally ruled as homicides.
What, were they just playing asleep before? What were we ruling it as?
Missing cases. That's about it.
Right, but if we have bodies, then immediately it's traumacide.
Well, and I mean, like, a lot of the times, people who are BIPOC, Indigenous, or some other than, caucastic, they're ruled as accidental deaths unless there is a platitude, not platitude. Why do I keep wanting to use platitude? It's magnitude of evidence.
The word of the day today is magnitude.
Not platitude. I don't even know what platitude means.
It's basically when you're saying something to somebody to make them feel better, but it doesn't actually, like, you don't have meaning behind it, right? So if somebody's like, oh, you did this thing to me and it really upset me, and you're like, okay, sorry. You're just saying it to make them feel better, not because you mean it.
I was just going to say something funny and be like, oh, it's something that platypuses say.
I mean, we could go with that too. It's a Sunday. The rules don't apply.
Anthropologists at this time on June 12th are helping to determine the two victims identified early in the investigation as homicide victims. The bodies were very badly decomposed at this time, so there was no manner of death that could be determined because at this time the bones were starting to show, but their bodies were they still had, it's very graphic. If I had to describe it, it would be far too graphic for Michaela's ears. So we're going to be nice. And we're not going to describe the bodies and how they were found because I found the pictures and I didn't save them for a reason.
Yeah, let's not do that. Thank you.
It was just very grotesque. Let's just leave it at that.
Very grotesque. October 12th, 2009, the second round of search warrants went out and was executed by police. They searched Joe's house again, as well as his jail cell, because at this point, he was in jail for an unrelated crime, which we'll go into when we go over his in full detail. They found and confiscated, are you ready for this? Okay. Women's underwear and jewelry.
Wait, while he was in prison or in jail? He had it in his cell?
No, in his house.
Oh, okay. I was like, how the fuck did... I know how he probably got it in jail, but because people smuggle everything into orifices, but ew.
Sorry, I went immediately to a brooch in my brain, and a brooch in an orifice doesn't seem great.
I mean, if it was him, it would puncture organs, and I would be okay with that. I'd be fine with that.
You're muted, or you were.
You're muted.
You were muted.
shit. Okay, so we need a little bit of laughter.
It's my gesturing.
It was like, what's wrong with your ears? What? Okay,
I can't hear.
So, January 26, 2010. I'm going to leave that whole bit in and we'll do like, the final victim was identified. Jamie Barella was the last victim to be identified. And we talked about Jamie earlier. She was one of the few people that was, her and her cousin, that was not tied to Schmeck's work or being a pro or any drugs at all. So August 4th, 2010, police get search warrants to search the properties of Ron Irwin of Missouri. Ron Irwin was a photographer who owned a studio and traveled to Albuquerque quite frequently during the time of the suspicious disappearances of women in Albuquerque. But in August of 2011, August 8th, he was ruled out as a suspect. Investigators revealed that Irwin could not have been responsible for unaliving the women because he wasn't in Albuquerque on the dates of most of the women's disappearances. This is when I started to get pissed off with my research. March 21st, 2013. So it's been a whole 5 years since the first body was found. Joseph Blay was tied to a series of SA cases. Police had announced at a press conference, March 21st, that he was involved in 4 rapes in the late 80s and 90s near the McKinley Middle School.
Middle schools are already bad places. We don't need your help in making them worse.
Agreed. I went to Catholic school. Let's just leave it at that. So January 31st of 2014, we're getting a little later here. The news outlet KRQE publicly names Joe and Lorenzo as the suspects in the case for the first time publicly. Police responded by confirming that the two haven't been ruled out just yet. So summer of 2014, Detective Ida retires and hands the case off to Detective Mark Mannery, who takes over the West Mesa murder investigation. June 3rd, 2015, Joseph Blay is convicted of raping a 13-year-old girl in 1988.
Disgusting.
Fight him with a 2x4.
Or go bigger. Tire
2x4
iron
fits easier in the hand.
A tire iron is a little bit more sturdy. And it has a pokey end.
That's very true.
We are not condoning violence. We are seeking justice.
My grandmother used to say, the best way to a man's heart is through his stomach, the 5th intercostal rib, up and twist.
Or you could just go my favorite way, arsenic. If you have access to their food or drink.
We do have a counting board, Meg. I don't know if you've noticed. It says, why is it always arsenic? Our count is at 6.
That's a lot.
I mean, when it's easy to get and it's handy, I mean, might as well.
You got to do what you got to do. So this is where the suspects come in. All their information that I was able to accumulate and sort of put into little teeny tiny boxes. All right. So 15 years later, the person responsible, who was called the West Mesa Bone Collector by news and law enforcement, remains unidentified. The case is still open and regarded as a frigid case. Not cold, not frozen. Frigid.
Frigid. That's not great.
No. According to the Albuquerque Police Department, all but one victim, which is Jamie Barella, we talked about her, had connections to Schmeck's work and battling drug addiction. As Graveyard Girl says, sippy sippy. If you haven't been hydrating, drink some water because we're already an hour into this thing.
I feel like hydrating during these things is the only thing that keeps me sane because I'm like, yes, put something in your body to feel like you're alive.
Oh yeah, 100%. Police suspect that the bodies were all buried by the same person or persons. Because in my research of this, I think there were two. There is no way for how big, even though I know day laborers and stuff like that I grew up with, for how big the holes were and the way that their bodies were placed, there is no way that one person would have been able to do it by themselves.
Not as quickly as they did, at least.
Correct, because satellite imagery does take a picture every 10 minutes. So you have to think about it this way. Everybody's like, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Because, I mean, it's noted. It's noted that they take satellite images every 10 minutes. I mean, Google Earth only does it once a year, but I did petition Google Earth to leave my grandparents' house alone until like a few years ago so you could still see them sitting on the front stoop, and I didn't screenshot it back then, and I'm very sad, but it's okay. I'll live. So the West Mesa Bone Collector, they haven't named any official suspects, and they haven't connected anyone really to the murders. So the suspects goes as follows. You ladies ready?
Go for it. Not ready.
In 2010,
I'll ever be.
a reward of up to $100,000 is being offered for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of a person or persons responsible. This reward is still available to this day. Over time, a number of men have been attracted police attention, and they have not been named as suspects in full, but they have been named in connection to the murders. The first is a pimp. His name was Fred Reynolds.
What a name for a pimp. Why couldn't we go with like F Dizzle or something? It's the early 2000s. You could have gotten away with it.
I mean, there was a guy that used to come into my old work, the clinic that I used to work at in downtown. His name was T Money. He would just come by.
I mean,
condoms.
a pimp named F Money. That's like way on the nose.
As opposed to Fred. He was a pimp who knew one of the missing women and reportedly had photos of the missing Schmex workers. But he died of natural causes in January of 2009. Allegedly. Lorenzo Montoya.
Natural causes.
Lorenzo Montoya. I showed you his picture earlier. Henchman number 3. He was a pressman at a local printing press. He lived less than 3 miles from the burial site, and in 2006, there were reportedly dirt trails leading from his trailer park to the site where the bodies were buried.
And this was not the guy who was reported by his ex-wife, right? Different guy? Okay, great. Cool. Love that I'm already getting them confused wrong, number 3.
Yep. So he had twice been arrested for violent attacks on Schmex workers and had threatened to kill his girlfriend and buried her in lime. L-Y-M-E. Not limes like the fruit.
No, I heard you. It doesn't make it better.
Fruit limes would be much more interesting.
I'd be in my own sangria.
Right? Like just add a little tequila in there and I'm a cocktail. It's a party.
Yeah. So coworkers said he talked about killing women and burying them in West Mesa.
Again, on the nose.
There's too many similarities, right? So December of 2006, Lorenzo throat hugged, because we can't use that word, 19-year-old Schmex worker Sharika Hill at his trailer. Lorenzo had raped and throat hugged the teenage Schmex worker, and the girl had been tied up with duct tape and cords. The bodies that were found had traces of the adhesive from that, is what I'm assuming because of the pictures. Lorenzo was then fatally pew-pewed by her boyfriend, Fred Williams, as Lorenzo was trying to put her body in the trunk of his car.
Ringing a bell now. Not a good bell, but a bell.
More like a ding ding. At the time, law enforcement said they did not believe that this was the first time Lorenzo had unalived someone because his crime was, quote, too brutal to be the first.
I'm sorry, is there a spectrum of this? Did we forget about like crimes of passion and people with problems?
Has Snapped not taught us anything?
There's a whole show.
So, after his untimely death, the West Mesa murders and disappearances stopped.
It was only untimely because it was too late. It should have happened sooner.
Agreed.
Personally speaking.
The next part is going to be very, very bad for some people. While searching Lorenzo's home by police, detectives came across a home recording found on Lorenzo's camera. Only a section of it was released to the public due to its nature. According to the police, the first part of the video shows Lorenzo having schmecks with an unidentified and possibly unalived woman before fading to black and transitioning to show a wall and bed in the foreground.
It was edited?
And stylized.
Oh, bleh. I hate it. You said it was going to be bad for some people, and I didn't think I was some people. Hello, I'm some people. That was terrible.
For me too. And I worked in a morgue.
And then you had to say it twice. Sorry.
Yep. So, it is during this section of the video, noises can be heard like Lorenzo tearing duct tape and opening a garbage bag. It has been theorized that Lorenzo was preparing her for disposal. Screenshots of the unidentified woman have also been released in the hope that she can be identified. It is always the hope from police that any notifications can be given to them and help identify the victim. So, of course, I got, whatever I could get, which was minimal, but descriptions can be found on 2 of the websites. I'm trying to keep this under 2 hours because it is our first episode for October. I wanted to keep it under 2 hours. Episode for October.
And 100.
And it is 100. So we did have to kind of go into October with a bang. Literally. Robert Irwin, Ron Irwin, we talked about earlier. The photographer. In August of 2010, police searched several properties in Joplin, Missouri, associated with local photographer and businessman Ron Irwin in connection with several of the West Mesa cases, because each person is its own case. They confiscated tens of thousands of photos from the man who reportedly used to visit the state fair in Albuquerque, which a number of women did disappear during. Police confirmed that they had cleared Irwin as a suspect. However, December 2010, convicted Colorado serial killer Scott Lee Kimball stated that he was being investigated by the West Mesa murders, but denied killing any of the women.
Call shenanigans, but okay.
Right.
The shenanigans of the bovine type.
Yes. As most people know in ASL, this means...
This is the old sign for it. They don't use that one anymore, but I think that one is my favorite.
And yeah, this one's, easy, but, I like the other one. So, also...
Fair. We're going to have, after this, in our After Hours podcast, we're going to be doing only bad words in sign language.
Would be great. I would
ASL swears. ASL swears to get you through the day.
I also got asked if we were going to do a live episode and when we were going to do that.
Can you imagine?
Oh,
no,
man.
no one would need. Oh my gosh. Can you? It's hard enough for y'all to see me like this. Can you imagine if I was unedited?
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
But also, like, between all the pauses we take and then just the like how early we record and everything, like it would be hard to pinpoint a time that everybody could be okay with to come on for live.
And can you imagine if all four of us are on doing a live?
Oh, so much chaos.
We would not need to edit it because it would be a live, so we would just keep it and do it. That would be a help to you, I'm sure. But also, it might be a crime itself because I know what the four of us are like.
Well, and I think that's something we can do for the next season, for season 2, because I'm already prepping research for next year on what I want to open with. So I'm down to 5 topics on what I want to choose. I'm currently using a rubber band because I'm anxious. This case makes me very anxious. Okay, I'm fine. I'm good. I promise. So we talked about him earlier, Joe. Good old Joe. Joe Blay. In 2014, a breakthrough on the decades-old case caused Albuquerque police to become interested in Joe Blay as a suspect for the unalivings. Joe was named the mid-school grapist for his activities in the 80s.
Also, this place is like the Oprah of suspects. You're a suspect. You're a suspect. You're a suspect.
The one that I just did for Friday, you get arsenic and you get arsenic and you get arsenic. So we're just going to have to make another one for Meg that just says,
you're a suspect. Congratulations. Suspect number 7. Come on down.
So unfortunately, police would say that he broke into the homes of 13 to 15-year-old girls who lived near McKinley Middle School in Albuquerque and would rape them. He would leave them alive, but he would hurt them. In one case, there was a DNA sample, but the grape test kit was not retested until 2010, eventually linking, finally, Joe to the actual grape itself. So in 2015, Joe was also suspected by police of killing a Schmeck's worker. His DNA was located on her inner waistband of her pants and the belt of the Schmeck's worker found unalived on Central Avenue, a notorious street for Schmeck's work in the eastern part of the city of Albuquerque. Also, a tree tag from the nursery was found in the area where the West Mesa victims were found, and it tracked to a nursery Joe used to frequent for his business.
The FBI calls a clue.
Landscaping nursery, right? Like plants and everything, not like child nursery, just for clarification.
It's a tree tag. It better be for plants.
Yes, a tree tag.
I mean, you never know with these people.
Fair.
There was no child named Tree, although I do know somebody named Tree. It's TRI. Anyways, besides the point, it was.
I mean, Taylor Swift's manager is named Tree, so.
I don't even know that. I thought you were going with like a cat. I had no idea where that was going.
No, her cat's named Olivia Benson. Doom, 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 doom.
One of her 3 cats.
One of her 3 cats, yes. And she takes them on tour with her.
Tour cats. I am woefully behind in my T Swift knowledge. I actually went to a friend's feed to confirm whether or not the whole like, hey, they're getting married was a real thing. Because I saw it on something else and I was like, I don't believe news. So I literally went to my friend's thing and it was a video of her screaming about it. And I was like, oh, must be true. And then just like clicked off.
Do you know how he planned it though? I found out how he planned it and it's so sneaky. So while he was recording the podcast with his brother for the New Heights podcast, which I did listen to before, because it's a good podcast. Football players and his friends and a couple of florists recreated the lover scene from the garden at the garden down from where they were recording the podcast with his brother.
Actually, it's like kind of like in their backyard, essentially. So he was like, "Hey, let's have a glass of wine before we go out to dinner," and that's where he proposed.
That is very sweet. We love a person who takes the time and the effort and the energy to make their person feel good.
Absolutely. And the ring, Rachel told me this one was purchased from a women's small business, and he custom made the ring.
I did see that because it has the 2-letter T's on it, I think. I'm telling you, I'm only picking up scraps of things, but they seem to be good scraps, so.
I may be a metalhead, and so may Rachel, but we are huge T-Swift fans. I'm the alternative, and I know Rachel is too. So
very much the alternative, but it's more like Appalachian, outlaw country, more like the older stuff. Not any of the post 2001 pop country.
Post Willie Nelson trying to get sober country.
There you go.
Yeah.
None of that. What is it called?
Bro country.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, not me. I'm still like in the stuff I grew up on, and then most recently a single song from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, I finally showed that.
Which apparently they're coming out with season 2.
And they're coming out with a Halloween episode.
This has been a lovely break. Thank you. I needed it.
You're welcome. Also, one more little tidbit. The guy that we like that sings songs for his wife, can't remember his name. Oh God, hold on. It's on my liked songs. Hold on. It's on my Spotify. Let's see here. Nope, that's my cleaning. We don't want to listen to 70s right now. Dismiss. No, not him. Not him.
I have no idea where she was going with this, so I can't just jump in.
Austin Brown. Do you remember Austin Brown?
No, I don't. He could be nice. He could also be a serial something.
Still muted. So a lot of the country singers that I listen to are like, Dolly Parton, June, and Johnny Cash, and a lot of those ones. I've been getting more back into country. His was one of the few because Rachel sent me a video of him singing Hers Ain't Mine, and I became obsessed. And so like I am not only following him, but I found out he's going to be touring in my area soon, and I was like, maybe. But yeah, no, he just did a new song called Happy Wife, Happy Life, and it's hilarious. Anyways, so we've taken our reprieve. You've hydrated. All right. As far as the West Mesa murders, Joe has not been charged in the case and never admitted to schmurdering them. He never was charged with the crimes and denied committing the murders. Detectives spent a significant amount of time investigating persons of interest, Joe, Lorenzo, and they both had a history of violence against women. In 2010, December 9th, Albuquerque police released 6 photos of 7 other unidentified women who might be linked to the West Mesa killings. Police would not say how or where they obtained the photos. Some of the women appeared to be unconscious, and many shared the same physical characteristics as the original West Mesa 11, which is what they were called. The following day, police released an additional photograph of another woman. This is all from the West Mesa Police Department, the Albuquerque Police Department. It's on their website, which is in our comments or in our description. The following day, they released an additional photograph of another woman. This woman was subsequently identified by family members who reported she had unalived by natural causes several years earlier. She was alive. So she, didn't go missing, but they did find photos. they would not say where those photos were located. December 13th, police reported that 2 of the women in the photos have been identified as alive and could have valuable information about the other women if they could be located. But in 2018, June, more bones were found near the site of the burials.
More? Like placed after? Like we had gone and found them and then more were placed there? Or like, hey, we're just continuing to find more things?
They were continuing to find more things, and since they had archaeologists on site, the bones appeared to be ancient and unrelated to the West Mesa murders.
I still hate it.
In 2018, they found those bones, right? So it had been, at this time, 4 years, 2002. In an Albuquerque Police Department video, cold case investigator Liz Thompson was quoted saying, "The women weren't shot. There was no evidence that they were shot or killed or blunt force trauma. This complicates the case and makes it a little harder to solve because we don't have clear indicators of what actually caused their deaths."
Right. So finding hard evidence that will draw it to somebody is completely different.
Especially
that
for
makes sense to me. I was going to get mad,
right.
But I get it.
Right. And especially for how the bodies were found. I mean, this sounds so terrible, but if their bodies had a little bit more meat on them, they would have been able to determine something.
Ew. True, but ew.
Unfortunately, But criminologist Stephen Jones, a police detective sergeant and an adjunct professor at Rosemont College in Pennsylvania, stated, "I think it's certainly possible that the killer is no longer with us because the crimes had stopped." Who's dead?
I mean, it has happened. But I would rather have justice found. But also there have been times where things have stopped and then started up years later. Right? So that really doesn't tell us as much as I was like it to.
Right. I mean, like there have been numerous cases where things stopped for a long period of time and then picked right up. Like the Long Island serial killer, he stopped for a period of what, 10, 15 years.
That's exactly who I was going to say. But I was like, I'm pretty sure he stopped and then started again. And that's what, like, he got old. That's what got him caught.
Right. And he got sloppy. Like, and I mean that I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way. I'm saying that in a good, So we're getting to the end.
We're getting to the end of this unsolved, frigid activity that will not make me feel good when we're done.
No.
Okay, cool. Just putting it out there to make sure that I manage expectations for myself.
Yep. Are you ready?
No, go on.
Dirk Duran Gibson, a former University of New Mexico associate professor and the author of several books on serial killers, suggested the murders may have been connected to an organized crime affiliate or biker gangs that frequented the same streets where the victims worked, which it is associated that in several, studies, especially with Stanford. I love Stanford studies, the medical journal. I used to get that all the time. That, biker gangs would pick up schmex workers and bring them into the gang and have them work to get extra funds and stuff like that as like pimps or whatever.
Right, but that doesn't seem necessary. That seems mutually beneficial if it's not under duress.
Right. It's okay. Like a protection clause kind of thing.
Yeah, I was like, we're not saying that like bikers are just running around and like offing people, because a lot of them are kind and protective.
Right. The ones that I've met are like super kind and protective, but So Dirk had an interview with A&E, and I did watch documentaries and I tried to take down as many quotes as I could. He stated, their vulnerable lifestyle put them in contact with a lot of nefarious people. Those women knew something that they shouldn't have known. I've come to the conclusion that there were probably only 3 people involved in this crime. There was a boss or bosses, the intermediary, and the hitman, the person who unalived them. He also stated that the case may never be solved for one single reason: DNA deterioration.
It's possible, especially if it was something where the person who committed the final portion of the crime was not the person who also essayed them. That's a difference in DNA, and that transfer DNA is not going to stick around forever, especially if they're just moving something. So that you might not be wrong.
And I mean, if it was any case, if there was like plastic or tarping or anything, they possibly could have gotten fingerprints or anything on that. But if it's been decades, it probably wouldn't.
I mean, we're talking 22 years for some of these. Like, that's not a long time, but a long time. And especially if we're talking like hot places, not necessarily as humid, but still not ideal for the preservation of evidence.
Well, and I mean, it's definitely very, very dry in New Mexico. It does snow in certain areas, but witnesses by Dirk, he stated, witnesses won't talk because they're terrified of the perpetrators and distrust police, and no actual crime scene from the victims, noting it was the ultimate cold case. And that's one of the people who said it was frigid. That being said, as this case is still open, although cold, detectives are currently still looking for leads and would like to know more about the victims. So I'll, of course, put photos and their information out. Take a moment with our team as we pay tribute to the victims of this ruthless assailant.
please join us in a moment of silence as we honor the victims.
Investigators would like to hear from women who may have been working the streets of Albuquerque between 2001 and 2005. You will not be prosecuting for working during that time. They just want to bring closure to the victims. Anyone who may have solicited the victims during that time, again, won't be prosecuted after the fact because it's limitation of, the time. Anyone with information concerning the victims and or potential suspects is asked to contact the 118th Street Task Force at 877-765-8273. I'll put the number in the middle, like I always do, or 505-768-2450. Crime Stoppers can be called, which I've called with tips on cases by doing the research, 505-843-STOP. You may also email information to investigator Ida Lopez at ilopez@cabqgov or .gov. So that is everything that I got on West Mesa. Can I tell you one thing that I know about this case?
It's bad, but yes.
One of the women that was found is linked to a friend of a friend. By doing the research, I saw a photo and I was like, and I texted my friend, who I won't mention her name, and I was like, hey, this looks like so-and-so's girlfriend. And she's like, oh my God, where did you find that photo? And I was like, I'm looking at the victims from the West Mesa Murders. And she's like, oh my God. And I just sent her everything that I had and screenshots. And she hasn't spoken to me in like a week. Yeah. So, that is our case for today. I hated researching this topic.
I hated hearing it. You did a great job.
Same. Absolutely hated listening to it.
Thanks. That means I did my job well.
You did. Congratulations. Happy 100.
Happy 100, everybody. If you guys have anything special you want to hear for next season or any cases we didn't cover already yet or any unknown unalivings or anything like that to cover for season 2, you can send us an email, or if you have a cold case you want us to cover, send it to tpw3mpodcast@gmail.com. As Emily always says,
do the stupidest of shit.
Please don't. Don't do stupid shit.
Yeah, maybe not that. Maybe do slightly less stupid shit. That doesn't get you in trouble.
Absolutely don't do stupid shit. Stay feral.
Bite the hand.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
Okay, goodbye. That's all for this episode. Stay feral, and we'll see you party possums next time.